every Mumbaikar can feel at home regardless of age, background and the neighborhoods that they come from. And an iconic landmark for the city that our next generation can be proud of, and a city-defining space. Next. So before we go into glimpses of each of the areas, if you just want to break it down as per our current plan, we have roughly 55% of the area covered in forests and woods, and another 25% as open recreational area. So if you were to combine that, that's approximately 80% that is softscape, and around 20% is hardscape, which is significantly greater of softscape compared to many large iconic public parks around the world. So we have really over-indexed on that. The hardscapes are more for gathering areas, plazas, some of the amenities we have, and pathways. So if you were to look at the way we're approaching the entire master plan, it would be very rooted in native ecology and flora and fauna. So not bringing exotic trees to the site, things that will be resilient for the long term, which will sustain in our climate with the salt spray, the winds that we have, the saline conditions that will thrive for generations to come. And we very much have a coastal moist forest ecology here, and we're trying to replicate that in the park. As you can see, it's completely barren now, but our goal, when you have the park sort of come alive, it should very much feel like it has been there for a very, very long time, as an attribute to Mumbai's coastal environment. And sustainability is going to be a key part of the design all throughout. So it's a very important sort of design principle for us, for our senior management, that every decision we make is taken into account looking at sustainability in mind. So whether that comes to the materials that we choose for the park, the plantation, the plant palette, and the irrigation systems, etc., are all looking at from that lens. Now, taking a look at the amenities, and we'll take a glimpse of each of them throughout, but we have looked at unique amenities throughout the entire plan that we have. But there are some basic amenities that every neighborhood should have. Things like children's play areas, sports places, maidans, pet parks, etc., which are distributed throughout the length. So people from Worli don't need to travel all the way to Breach Candy to access those basic amenities. But we obviously want the space to be very interesting. So you have unique elements in each of the places so people have a reason to keep coming back to the park. So if you look at the sports areas, we're looking at a small concentration here in the Nepean Road area, a large sports hub in Haji Ali under the flyovers because they are naturally shaded areas, so keeping a sports hub over there, and then a few sports areas in Worli as well. And when it comes to the children's play areas, we have really given it a hard look as to what the children in Mumbai can really benefit from. So thinking beyond the basic children's play areas, what are the spaces that spark imagination for children? How do you integrate culture, talk about and teach about native flora and fauna? So keeping all of that in mind, having very interesting spaces for our children to engage with that are spread across the plan. And so now, just take you through some of the glimpses of the park that we have. So on the southern side, as you can see, this is Priyadarshini Park here all the way till the Bhulabhai Desai Junction. So very, very dense green forestry that we have planned here. And interspersed between these forests, we have some of the amenities. So we have some of the sports courts. We have an area that is sanded, beach-like, so people can enjoy the waterfront. And then an open field, but all amongst Miyawaki microforests across. This is one glimpse of what a Miyawaki microforest pocket can look like and how people can access and see and enjoy these spaces. So you have lots of forests and then pockets of amenities interspersed, so you can enjoy the forest and also enjoy a play space that you don't really see these types of areas in Mumbai. So giving that to the citizens, to our children, to our elderly. Here's a glimpse of a few of the sports courts that we can have here. This is at the Bhulabhai Desai Junction, thinking about a potential bird trail so people can enjoy and see birds which we now don't see in the sky. But if we are creating these forests that attract these types of birds, having a chance for citizens to interact and see them. Having amphitheater spaces for people to gather and for multi uses. This is the area outside Amarsan's Gardens, adjacent to the underpass. It's a thin stretch, but how do you really create it as a shaded space for people who would enjoy walking through there with a lot of native flora, fauna? A Maidan, so similar to what we have here at Priyadarshini Park, but surrounded by lots of greenery. Then now moving to the Mahalakshmi area, again very, very wooded and forested because the topography and the land allows for that. So near the Mahalakshmi temple, making sure that we take into account the fact that there is a temple there, having calm meditative spaces, very dense and green, but a slightly different plantation palette here to create interesting zones as opposed to having the same plants all across. And now coming to the Haji Ali area, again, this intersection is a very, very crowded, busy intersection with lots of cars. So we want to make sure that adjacent to that is a very green area to improve our air quality for people to enjoy and also overlook the sunset from this point as well. And then this is a large part of hardscaping that we have, because many of you would be familiar that this is the underground car park area that the BMC is building with 1200 car capacity adjacent to the Mahalakshmi Race Course. So this is a plaza sort of area on top of that car park area that can be for flexible events, gathering spaces, etc. And then this is the area that I was talking about under the flyovers. So you have naturally shaded areas. So putting a lot of vegetation right under the flyovers may be a little more difficult. So utilizing that for sports amenities and other sort of more active activities. And then coming to the Worli area. Again, this is a stretch near Samudra Mahal, if people know that building. Again, low access points from the city, similar to the Breach Candy area. So again, having it be very wooded and forested with a few pockets of amenities in between them. And then as we approach the Bandra Worli Sea Link, this portion becomes extremely narrow. You're saddled between the existing road that we had and the coastal road. And so how do you create interesting walkways for people in these areas? So if you see a glimpse of one of them, so how can you bring sort of art, sculptures and installations, interesting spaces for children and people to walk through? And then how do you also collaborate with local artists and artisans to display their work and bring these spaces to life and celebrate our local culture and heritage? And then right at the end, at the Worli side, we're thinking, which is the northern entry to the park, thinking of having a festival plaza, because this, again, similar to the Haji Ali area, has flyovers sort of above our site. So how do you create an interesting hardscape for people to come gather, have amenities, refreshments for people, have food trucks, etc., and sort of a mela-like atmosphere. So bring a Ferris wheel in, an interesting point for people to enjoy. So that was a very quick glimpse of what we have, and would pass it on to Sri Gignani ji.